So here's the video of how I made my moving crouching zombie with using pneumatic and wood. Now, I made this after seeing someone else make a way better one on his YouTube channel, which I will have in the description below. And like most of my builds I see other people do, it's more like an episode of, nailed it. I'm horrible at recreating things. But anyways, this is the basic frame of doing a crouch. I'm just using these 2x4s. You get some door hinges that will help make the movements. But basically, this is just the basic outline of the bottom portion of it. And then what we put on for like the hip of what's going to have the torso on, I just use like a fence wood, cut it. And so you attach it to the hinge, and then you get these little clips that come usually with your pneumatic cylinder that it comes with. And this is where you're going to hook up your pneumatic cylinder. So when you get it all hooked up, this is kind of what it's going to look like underneath. So I attach another cylinder against like one of the legs that's down there. And that's hooked up to that little, fence piece. And this will keep it steady and push it up the way I need it to go. So I'm using a 25 millimeter bore and a 100 millimeter stroke, which means a 4 inches how long the cylinder goes out. And how I measured how high I wanted the torso to raise is you just kind of measure how much you want it to go up. And then here I wanted to go up to 4 inches. So that being said, I ordered a 100 millimeter or a 4-inch stroke. So that would be the height it will go. The bore is just like the width of the cylinder and how much it could pull and push or something. Just a quick look of how I have it set up. It all attached. So don't worry about what's on the torso. I was going to use a swivel for a TV stand, but ended up not wanting to use it. You could use them as long as it twists and turns which way you want to go. You could do this, or you could use like a Lazy Susan that you get on Amazon, and you could screw that to wood, and that will move the way that you want it to move anyways. So whichever way you want, or anything that you have to use to swivel, definitely use. In this situation, I think the Lazy Susan screwed to the 2x4 is just so much easier for me to use. So for it to work on my torso, I built it this way so it will swivel the way that I need it to go. So I take that piece that I built with the Lazy Susan and I just attach it underneath this top part of the mannequin that I have. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw those in and then I will bolt them to keep them in place. But this was, like I said, the easiest way of doing it. So once you have it attached to it, just tighten up the bolts so it will stay in place there. And then put it on the floor and test it out, see if it turns the way you want it to turn. And it worked all right. I mean, it worked good enough for me, at least. So now I attached the torso to the wood, the fence thing there. I put a whole grip of screws and I just nailed the hell out of it just to keep it to hold. And since I'm working mainly with lumber, I just need it to last for one night. So wood and screws. This is how I set up the left to right swivel using the same type of cylinder. I hooked up the hinge to the side of where I had the Lazy Susan on, and I put it toward the back. So when it goes out, it'll turn. Now, because of the two 2x4s I had underneath, it gave me enough length or gap, so I was able to turn the torso without it catching anything. So when I have it all hooked up, I want it to come up, move around left and right a little bit, go down, up and down, like it's tearing apart something. So I'll probably have a body with intestines all over it. I'll probably have organs in the arms and the hands, but this is the movement that I want it to make. And here I'll slap on a dress. It'll cover the wooden legs, and it'll be dark. No one's going to see much, but it's not as good as the guy who did his, what I got this idea from, but it's going to work for me.